Hi, my name is Steve Plotnick. I'm a CPA, and today we're going to be talking about the new Streamlined Offshore program that was introduced by the IRS on June 18, 2014. Basically, what happened was the Offshore Voluntary Disclosure program that they had prior to June 18, 2014 was really a one-size-fits-all program, and it really wasn't working out because someone that made a non-willful accident mistake would be subject to a 27% penalty on their assets overseas. So they introduced a new streamlined offshore program that reduces the penalty from 27.5% to 5%. But you do need to demonstrate non-willfulness to get into the program. But before we talk about the program, I do want to mention that the proper way to report your income tax return is report report worldwide income on your tax return. So if you have any assets overseas that was collecting any interest or dividends, or even you had some rental property overseas, you properly need to report that on your income tax here in the United States. If you neglected to do that or made an honest mistake, that's why they have the Streamlined program. In addition to that, filing that tax return properly, you have to file annual FBARs, and there is a Form 8938 that needs to be reported on your income tax return as well. Now, prior to the Streamlined program, prior to June 18, 2014, we had a offshore voluntary disclosure program that was a 27.5% penalty for anybody that didn't report their assets or foreign assets overseas or any income that they derived from overseas. And basically, if you thought that 27.5% penalty was a little too steep, what you would have to do is fight that 27.5% penalty and tell them that you made IRS, you made an honest mistake, and hopefully they would lower that penalty for you. Then after June 18, 2014, the Streamlined Offshore program was introduced for people that have made honest, non-willful mistakes. And basically it consists of amending 3 years of your tax return, filing the last 6 years of your FBARs, and you have to pay that 5% penalty up front when you submit it to the Streamlined Offshore Voluntary Disclosure Program. Now, the key to entering this program is that you have to show non-willful conduct. And this non-willful conduct, basically you have to explain your reason and be very specific why you were forgetful or neglected to report your overseas income. And you basically have to sign an affidavit or sign under perjury how you were non-willful. And basically it's a certification procedures that need to be taking place during this streamlined program is in order to be able to pay that 5% penalty rather than 27% penalty, you're going to have to fill out or submit a non-willful certification statement. We're going to have to basically be amending your last 3 years of returns and reporting any income from overseas properly. We're going to have to go back 6 years and fill out and report your FBARs. And then we're going to have to basically the 5% penalty is going to have to be paid on your assets, on your asset value, the highest asset value over the last 6 years. I can talk more in detail if you give me a call, but I'm trying to give you a brief overview here. Now, if you basically worked and or lived outside the United States, you could do the Streamlined program that's called the Streamlined Foreign Offshore program, and you would be exempt from the 5% penalty. And you basically have to fill everything out and all the other forms, but you wouldn't have to pay that 5% penalty. But you can, if you give me a call, I'll explain to you if you do qualify for the foreign streamlined program. There is one program that I did not talk about as of yet, and that is the delinquent FBAR program. And basically you had to have reported your income properly on your tax returns, that's the foreign income, but you neglected to fill out the FBARs. So, for instance, you collected $10 in interest on a bank account overseas and reported the $10 on your tax return, but you neglected to report and file the FBAR. If it was some neglected FBAR filings, but you reported your tax returns properly, you can file those delinquent FBARs and not have to pay the 5% penalty or any penalties in this new program. So basically, there is a couple things you need to watch out for if you want to enter into the Streamlined program. And one of the things you got to be careful is that if your bank shows up on their nasty list, and you basically can find this nasty list by going to the IRS.gov website and put in facilitators. And starting on August 4th, 2014, they're going to start enforcing this. So if your bank shows up on that list, you will not be eligible for the Streamlined program, and instead you are going to be forced into the Offshore Voluntary Disclosure Program, the traditional one, subject to 27% on all your assets. So you need to really kind of make a decision quickly here, because the last thing you want to happen to you is that you take your time and then your bank shows up on this list and you won't be eligible for the Streamlined and be forced into the traditional program and be paying that 27.5% penalty. Now, as I would be calculating your 5% penalty on your foreign assets, there are some assets that will be exempt from the penalty, but it depends on where the assets are held, because there are certain tax treaties, and these tax treaties have certain assets that are exempt from the penalty. So we'd have to take a look at the tax treaty in the country that your assets reside in and see if these assets are exempt from some of the 5% penalty. But basically, it comes down to, if you have showed some willful intent, you may have to go into the Offshore Voluntary Disclosure Program. Or if your bank that you have your assets in shows up on that nasty list, you're going to be forced into that traditional program at the 27.5% penalty. If you were truly non-willful and can demonstrate that, the Streamlined program is a way to go, and it's what I'm going to be recommending to the majority of my clients at the 5% penalty rather than the 27% penalty. If you want to risk it, you can do nothing, and hopefully nothing happens to you, which I don't recommend.
I won't get
or
caught,
you can try to do a quiet disclosure, which is maybe I'll just file those delinquent FBARs or delinquent tax
criminal
returns,
penalties
and
down the road, or some
maybe.
heavy civil penalties. If you have any further questions or like to talk about your case in detail, please call me at 844-647-7700. Once again, my name is Steve Plotnick, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.